Alright, what's up guys? PeterJaguars here again with our 2018 NFL playoff bracket prediction. The road to Super Bowl 52 is on, 12 teams remaining. We've been doing this for a few years and it's crazy how it's grown. So many more people making their brackets, doing their predictions. Really fun to see. And quickly, I need to revisit last season. So let's take a look at what we had. There you have it, our full bracket prediction. Patriots to win the Super Bowl. Tom Brady, the MVP of that game. Good luck. And if you look close, you'll see that not only do we have the Super Bowl correct, Patriots over Falcons, but the Super Bowl MVP and all 11 games correct in the entire bracket. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do that again, so gotta give myself a little pat on the back, but we have done our research and gotten ready for this year, so let's hop into the picks. We start on the AFC with the 4 vs 5, Chiefs at home against the Titans. Both of these teams have a good but not great seasons with their respective ups and downs. I don't know that the Titans have quite figured out how to use Marcus Mariota. His decision making has been iffy, but their play calling still up in the air at times. And the Chiefs are more reliable with Alex Smith and their defense, so I'm going to give them the edge. My Jaguars are in the playoffs, finally. It's been a drought since 2007. I was a little guy back then, and we have finally made it. Very exciting, and I gotta be honest, for this entire video, I have my little biases here and there. I'm trying to throw them out as much as possible because I want to predict all of these games correctly, but if I pick against your team, it's not because I hate them and the fan base and want everything to fall apart. I'm just doing my best to pick these games. So, Jags Bills. The Bills obviously ended their own playoff drought, and the Buffalo fans will be very excited coming into this one. I think my Jags are equally hyped, and the defense is so strong, with LaShawn McCoy probably limited if he plays at all with his ankle injury. I don't know that they'll get much going on offense, and let's move on to Jags. The NFC South matchup of Saints vs. Panthers intrigues me because there's often a narrative that it's hard to beat a team 3 times in one season. The Saints defeated the Panthers both times in their divisional regular season matchup. So I looked at the numbers. As far back as I could find, teams that have beat a division rival twice in a year are 13-7 in that third contest against them in the playoffs. So it's not unfeasible for the Saints to have a little bit of an edge here. They do well playing at home, and I think Breeze with his running backs, Ingram and Kamara, will be able to push forward and score some points. Atlanta was dangerously close to being one of those teams that makes the Super Bowl and then drops out of the playoffs completely the following year. They have snuck in here as the 6th seed, and Julio Jones can be a matchup nightmare in the playoffs. But the Rams are a good, solid team. I like what they're building there in Los Angeles. Sean McVay is a fantastic head coach. For me, probably the coach of the year. And I think they will be able to pull this one out at home and move on to the divisional round. As soon as we see Kansas City, New England, I know Chiefs fans are pointing right to week 1 and talking about how Alex Smith tore up the Patriots, 360-some yards, 4 touchdowns, a big stunning victory. But at the same time, this is a Chiefs team that lost 6 of 7 in the middle of the year, even if they did finish the season strong. And I don't know if they've put together the consistency to come into New England and take on Bill Belichick with an extra week of preparation. So I'm going to have to push forward. Brady having a better game than he did at the start of the year, and the Pats winning this one. 5. That's right, in week 5, Ben Roethlisberger threw 55 passes and 5 interceptions against the Jacksonville Jaguars. It was really 2 pick sixes in the third quarter that flipped that game on its head, and I don't know that it would follow the exact same game flow if this one happens again. The Steelers are hard to play against at Heinz Field in January and have vastly more playoff experience than the Jags do. So Bortles versus Roethlisberger, of course, on paper, you want to lean towards the Steelers with that one. And if there's a team that can limit Brown and Bell and the Steelers' offense, it would be Jacksonville. But as much as it pains me to do this, the Steelers are more familiar with this scenario, and I couldn't be upset with the Jaguars season making it this far regardless based on preseason expectations. I'm going to begrudgingly put Pittsburgh into the AFC Championship. Nobody is giving the Eagles a chance to do any damage in the playoffs, and something about that scares me. If you're a Philadelphia player or coach hearing all of that disrespect after earning the 1 seed and going 13-3, you really want to prove you're more than just Carson Wentz. Now, maybe that is justified, and they aren't anything without Wentz. In fact, their defense's implosion against the Giants with Foles playing there is what scares me, in that they can't even hold themselves together without him. But I wouldn't completely rule them out in this game. I will say that I'm taking New Orleans here, but don't be surprised if Philadelphia puts up a fight and maybe even squeaks out a victory. Still, taking the Saints. Not a lot of people know this, but the quarterback's headset does not turn off until there are only 15 seconds left on the play clock. So one of the things the Rams have done this year is break huddle quickly and then have McVay call out audibles for Jared Goff and basically read the defense for him before the play starts. But if there's one defensive-minded coach who can come up with some good disguised looks and counter this, it's Mike Zimmer. When these teams played earlier in the year, Todd Gurley had one of his worst games of the season, and the Rams only scored 7 points, albeit with a fumble by Cooper Kupp in the red zone that could have been more. But this is a great matchup in terms of a very smart offensive head coach in McVay and the defensive head coach in Zimmer. I really want to see this happen as a football fan, and yet I think Zimmer's got it figured out a little bit more. And McVay may have even been trying to lose in the last week of the season to avoid the Vikings. The Saints lost also, so it didn't happen, but he's probably a little bit timid about this one, and we're taking Minnesota. While 7 of the 12 teams in the playoffs this year have never won a Super Bowl, 3 of our 4 conference championship squads have, and Patriots Steelers boast 2 of the most storied franchises in the NFL. Brady and Roethlisberger have been here tons of times, and the matchup between these teams in the regular season was one of the best of the year. The thing I worry about is the Steelers trying to contain Rob Gronkowski. He absolutely slaughtered them at the end of that game, and I don't see anything that's really going to change except a big emphasis, and we know Brady is able to spread the ball around if he has to. That said, the Steelers probably have more overall offensive weapons, and I can see this one turning into a shootout that really could go either way, and I'm gonna just have to push that little edge to New England being at home and on to the Super Bowl. Saints-Vikings is not too unlike Rams-Vikings in that we have an offensively minded opponent coming into Minnesota's dome and trying to thwart their own defense. And with Marshawn Lattimore and Ken Crawley, the Saints probably have a better secondary than they did with Tracy Porter back when they won the Super Bowl the last time. It's so hard to contain Ingram and Kamara with their sort of power and zone rushing schemes, how they mix that up, tire you out, wear you down, and then Breeze is able to pick teams apart. And so this one could turn into another chess match with Sean Payton against Zimmer. Don't mean to play the exact same card, but these matchups seem very similar on paper to me. Breeze is more experienced in the playoffs than Goff, of course, but I still really like Minnesota's defense, and Latavius Murray, Jerick McKinnon able to push forward for some key yards and eke out a victory here to earn their Super Bowl berth. So here we are for the big one, Super Bowl 52, Patriots-Vikings. And through this scenario, Minnesota will never have to leave the confines of home. The Super Bowl in Minneapolis could give them a little bit of a boost. I know I've been harping on the coaching a lot, but I love Mike Zimmer. He had 35 years in different defensive coaching jobs before getting into this spot as head in Minnesota. He was a defensive coordinator for the Bengals and had a really good game where he held the Patriots to 6 points. His one head coach matchup against Belichick did not fare so well, although Matt Castle threw 4 interceptions, and it's hard to make up for that. So again, a lot of this will depend on Case Keenum. That is probably the biggest X factor of the Vikings as a team in this entire playoff run, but it's possible that he can still do enough, and you can count on reliable performances from guys like Everson Griffin and Xavier Rhodes and Anthony Barr and Thielen and Diggs on offense. The Patriots are still such a dynasty. It's hard to argue with anything they've done. I don't know that they're as strong right now as they have been in past years, but I almost thought that last year, and I still figured they would be strong enough to win the Super Bowl. So this is a very, very tight matchup, and another one that would be really exciting to see as a football fan. I think there's going to be a change in the world with this one, and I am taking the Minnesota Vikings in a close one to win Super Bowl 52. For Super Bowl MVP, I want to go out on a limb and say Harrison Smith. Love the freedom he gets back there, but the truth is, for as good as the defensive unit is, this one is going to ride on the shoulders of the quarterback, 29-year-old Case Keenum. I think he gets it done and will be our Super Bowl MVP. Minnesota takes home their first Lombardi in franchise history. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for more. Spike a like if you enjoyed our predictions and analysis. Subscribe for more content, and let me know in the comments section how you think these games are going to play out. Enjoy them. It's going to be a lot of fun watching playoff football. Anyhow, I'm out. Peace.